First, it was a presidential election precision tribunal that ruled. But today, the Supreme Court has finally laid to rest any doubts as to who won the April 16 presidential election. Nigeria's apex court affirmed the election of President Goodluck Jonathan, saying he and Vice President Nnamdi Sambo were duly elected in the April 16 presidential election. The seven-man panel of the apex court dismissed the petition of the Congress for Progressive Change, saying it lacks merit. In the lead judgments read by Justice Funmilayo Adekeye, the court dismissed the appeal and affirmed the decision of the lower courts, which held that the CPC failed to discharge the burden of proof that there was substantial non-compliance with the electoral acts which affected the outcome of the election.
Filled capacity with lawyers, party chieftains of the People's Democratic Party and the Congress for Progressive Change, and supporters of the two parties. The justices arrived at the court and went straight to deliver the ruling. The lead judgment was read by Justice Funmilayo Adekeye, who affirmed the judgment of the Presidential Election Tribunal, which held that the petitioner has failed to prove its case of substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act.
This appeal lacks merit and is accordingly dismissed. The judgment of the lower court is affirmed, and consequently, the third and fourth respondents won the election conducted by the first respondent on the 16th of February 2011 and were returned by the first respondent as duly elected President and Vice President respectively of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. No order as to cost. That is the judgment of the court.
Justice Walter Onoga, who read the judgment of Chief Justice Dahiru Mustafa, adopted the position of Justice Adekeye. He agreed that the appellant's case lacks merit and should be dismissed. Justices Bode Rhodes Vivo and Sylvester Nguta both agreed that in view of the procedural blunders committed by the appellant, the appeal failed and therefore dismissed on the grounds of irregularities. Reacting to the judgment, lawyer to the Congress for Progressive Change, Mr. Oladipo Opesheye, said the party has made its case and the court has ruled, and that the party has no option than to accept the judgment since it is the last court of resort.
It is now confined into history. It is part of our legal history. It is part of our democratic experience, and the judgment is final and is binding on all parties. And I respect it, and I have nothing to add to distract from that judgment.
Lawyers to President Goodluck Jonathan, the Independent National Electoral Commission, and the People's Democratic Party described the decision of the Apex Court as a wise judgment, adding that it is time for the whole country to move forward.
On behalf of the President and the Vice President, which has reaffirmed that the decision of the Court of Appeal was right.
The effect of this judgment was a restatement that in all cases, the maxim, the legal principle that he who asserts must prove is the situation of the law, and that applies in election matters.
The judgment of the Supreme Court is groundbreaking, thought-provoking, landmark judgment, as well as very sagacious.
The Congress for Progressive Change had appealed the judgment of the Presidential Election Tribunal, which upheld the election of President Goodluck Jonathan on the grounds that the Congress for Progressive Change failed to prove its case of irregularities against President Jonathan, the People's Democratic Party, and INEC, which affected the outcome of the elections in April 2011.